right, another Tuesday with Coach Mack McCarthy. He joins us via satellite, as they used to say, and good to see Coach Mack in the Pirate Radio studios for 10 minutes on Friday. You did not come here to see Two Chains. What were you doing in town, Coach Mack?
It was, I hate to admit it, but it was a food run.
All right.
We were out of some things that we can only get in the greater Greenville area.
A food run and then back up in VA. And Mac, we'll talk about what's going on in the world of sports. And you're not a NFL guy. I was hyped up for the NFL draft last week. We had NFL draft and spring football, and it's like they give you a little taste of football in the spring and then
Yeah.
take it back away from you, and you got to wait a while. But really enjoyed putting on my Commanders gear for a weekend. Everybody's sick of talking about it now, but want to hear your take on Shadur Sanders because I remember all last year when people would talk about him in Colorado and ask me like, "Is it? What's all the hype about this guy? He's overhyped, right?" And all I could do was look at mock drafts and say, "Well, I mean, they're saying he's going to go top 5. I guess there's something to him. Somebody believes in him." But then you see the free fall that happened last week during the draft. So what'd you think of that, Mac? What was he really that bad of an interview? Did he really rub people that wrong that they'd take all those quarterbacks ahead of him?
I think he did. But that being said, and he probably took bad interview to a new level. But again, that being said, the NFL is full of not so great folks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're felons, they're criminals, they're all kind of folks in the NFL, and if you can help them win, they'll tolerate some stuff. But clearly, nobody thought that he could help them win. And even when he got chosen, this wasn't about football. That was a political deal all the way. The owner of Cleveland was is a huge supporter of someone very powerful. And I'm not going to get into the politics, but he was encouraged to do what he did because it makes no sense if you draft the Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, if you draft him and you've already got 3 guys, what are you doing? So and you could tell from the coaches and the GMs, the look on their faces, like this is not something that we want to be a part of. But
It
I
was the
think the
biggest golf clap I've ever seen in a draft room. It was
oh,
like such a fake clap.
unbelievable. And again, there's a reason that he got all the way down there. It wasn't all about character and Dion and being involved and all that. Some of it has to do with if he could play, they would have taken him sooner if they thought he could play. Now, maybe he still can play, and hopefully for the kids' sake he can, but we'll see. But I was paying attention to that, and I was paying attention to your Commanders taking Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech, who is really a steal for them. And I was also paying attention to the Commanders with the new stadium deal at the old RFK, and unfortunately, it's going to take like 10 years to build the thing, and I won't ever get to see it probably at my age. But everybody in DC is excited. The new ownership group there has done a great job, and of course, they hit the home run last year with the quarterback.
Now you're speaking my language, Mac. Yeah, our draft consisted of landing a few names, but also Laramie Tunsil, Debo Samuel, and then a mock-up of a new stadium. So a lot of momentum. I mean, like more momentum than this franchise has had since I've been watching them. Was, I was watching and somewhat interested, but not really at the tail end of the Gibbs glory days. So this is the most excited I've certainly been for the franchise.
Good.
That
I
the
I've been around. I'm up here in Richmond, where the Redskins slash Commanders now train forever.
Yeah.
Huge Redskin faction up here. Again, Commanders. I grew up thinking Redskins, so that's kind of what I default to. But wearing a Virginia Tech hat or a shirt or something around here, I didn't get any questions about Virginia Tech getting five guys drafted and a bunch signed, but I did get a lot of questions about Jalen Lane, about him. What could he do for the Commanders, and is he really any good? So the Commanders folks here in town are like you. They are upbeat and optimistic.
What is he, Mac? Slot and big time return guy, right?
Yeah, he is an incredible return guy. Got a great burst of speed and very elusive. Can take it all the way to the house. And yeah, I don't know enough about the NFL to know, but he sure seems to. Other than size, he seems to have all the measurables. 4.34 or something like that. He can fly.
Mack McCarthy joining us. It is certainly an inexact science. You never know who's going to hit, who's going to bust, and a lot of that is out of the player's control. Sometimes I remember one of my favorite guys, and we used to do our fantasy drafts early, so we had our fantasy draft the day of the first preseason games, and it was the year that Ryan Williams, running back from Virginia Tech, got taken by the Cardinals. And Ryan Williams suffered an injury in his first preseason game about an hour after I picked him, and was saying, "This is my guy. I'm gonna hold on to this guy forever." And remember, he got hurt and just was never the same. But you just never know, Mac. I was a huge fan of him coming out of Blacksburg back in the day.
Yeah, very highly recruited. One of the top kids. They had a couple back to back there. Kid named Jones was the number one running back in the country that went there out of Indianapolis, I think, or one of them was from Indianapolis, one of them was from Pennsylvania. But yeah, you can't tell. And an injury can end it all, or a series of injuries can keep somebody from performing that could have been a really good player. And then you've got the great stories from the guys that were free agents or drafted really late that had great careers. It's absolutely when they get on there and have these pronouncements and
Right.
statements of fact, that you got to be careful with that because yeah, it is a crapshoot.
You laugh at way too early top 25s. I think draft grades, those articles
Yeah.
are more meaningless than too early top 25s.
Yeah, that they have gotten better at knowing where they're going to be picked, but as far as whether they're successful or not, gee whiz, it feels like you're throwing darts at a dartboard.
Speaking of darts, Jackson Dart to the Giants. Mac, when you look at Dart, Milrow, the Louisville quarterback, McCord, Quinn Ewers, like, do you think any of these guys? Again, we just talked about how it's impossible to predict, but after watching them in college, knowing what you know, anybody out of that group you think could be a long time starter, a potential Pro Bowl quarterback?
Milrow certainly reminds me of a guy like Jalen Hurts in terms of some of his abilities and that kind of thing. But he never really developed that kind of mid range. He threw the ball long. He ran the ball well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthony Richardson at Indianapolis. And Shuck's been in a pro system, will probably fit in really quickly and that kind of thing. Dylan Gabriel's done nothing but win. He's been in three different offenses at three different schools at a high level and won. And you got to, despite the fact that he's not one of the guys that meets the measurables. And I think McCord and gosh, I'm trying to think of the other guy, McCord, and the other Ohio State guy. I think those guys have been in good systems, had good players around them, and they could all be serviceable quarterbacks somewhere along the way.
Will Howard is who I meant to say instead of
Yeah.
McCord. Yeah.
Well, Will Howard and McCord were the two I was trying to think of, and I could only
Yeah.
name one.
There you go. Mac McCarthy joining us. We'll table NFL for a little while until the schedule release coming up in May, and then we'll celebrate the NFL. I say we, not you, Mac, but me and my NFL junkies will be all over that. So, isn't it crazy that people get excited about a schedule release?
The NFL is the best. I used to think minor league baseball was the best marketing people in the world, but I think the NFL has it. I mean, they are constantly in the news for one reason or another.
All right, Mac. What else we got? We got Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend. Any?
How about, I think I got a win in NASCAR too.
We get to that at the end. Relax.
Oh, okay. Kentucky Derby. Are you watching the Derby thing? I don't know if it's on Prime or Netflix. There's a horse racing Triple Crown documentary,
Jenny
and
told me to watch it. Jenny's actually going to the Derby coming up.
it's
So
great. It
yeah.
is really good. Outrageous somewhat, but still really interesting. And of course, just in time for the Derby. And that's one of the bucket list things I haven't gotten to do, even though I've been invited a few times. It's just never worked out with recruiting or whatever the schedule was. But and then some of my sources, have moved from Louisville to other places. So, but yeah, I would like to go to the Kentucky Derby before I get out of here.
I do have a pick for the Kentucky Derby. It is Render Judgment. Toby Keith's horse
Oh wow.
is in the Kentucky Derby.
You know, I'm gonna shy away from that for one reason only. Toby Keith has whiskey for his men, but beer for his horses.
That's why
I don't want a horse out there running that's been drinking beer.
I think that's what's going to get him across the finish line. That
I
and the
think
grace
that's
of God.
good thinking. Yeah.
Well, my pick is going to be journalism because I am a journalist.
There's a horse named Journalism.
According to what I saw, there is.
All right.
And I believe it's the favorite. So I gotta ride journalism. A dying industry, hopefully not a dying horse, coming up this Saturday. There's gonna be a lot of folks out there hoping journalism gets put down after the race.
There are a lot of folks that hope it already.
Let's see, Mac. All right, let's get an update. How many seconds of NBA playoffs have you watched?
During actual games,
Yeah.
0.
Man, I guess at this point you just got to keep it going. See if you
Yeah.
can go the whole time.
Yeah,
And
I think I
guess
can.
Stanley Cup would be the same. Hurricanes playing tonight, trying to close out their round one series against the Devils. They'll be at the Rocking Lenovo Center in Raleigh. And Mac, I need to get to a NASCAR race. I always hear like once you go, you'll be hooked. It's so different than watching on TV, and that's kind of what happened with me in hockey. Like I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to go to a tag along to a Hurricanes playoff game, and God, it's been 6 years now, but like I still remember it and the environment, and kind of hooked me for life. So I need to. I guess I need to experience that with a race now.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that say the same thing about hockey. I went to a hockey game. The only one I ever went to was when I was in college. It was a minor league hockey in Salem, Virginia, right outside of Roanoke. They had a nice arena there, and I've never been anywhere else where they had a hockey team that I was aware of. So I've never been back, but I would think it would be similar in terms of hey, this is really cool. And but yeah, if you go to a race and you're not hooked, then you got a problem.
Jarrett, did Mac get a win?
Nope.
What happened this weekend?
Austin Cindric won, and he's not on Mac's team. Mac had 2 DNFs. You had 2 DNFs. I had 1 DNF. And terrible averages for us, and I had the best with 18.6.
Wow.
Meaning you are now in the lead?
I am now in the lead.
Jeez, what is it?
4 weeks
You
ago, I
jerk.
was in dead last with -3. Now I am in first with 15. Clip, you have 14, and Mac is -3.
Mac,
There
well,
you
you
go.
get the positive numbers.
Well, if you look at the pattern of winners, you won the first 4, then Josh Berry won. Nobody had him. I won the next 4, and then Austin Cindric won, so nobody has
one
him.
of Mac's guys is definitely winning this
Mac,
week.
I mean, given the pattern, Mac is going to win the next 4.
The next
That's
4. Okay.
It's possible. It's possible. I have Cindric in another league with Meador. That's I thought I had him in both of them, but apparently I don't.
Now, and Clip, you would have had the best average, but Joey Logano got a DQ.
Yeah, what
so-
happened there?
I think it was the spoiler, something with the spoiler, I believe.
Did he try to pimp his? He pimped his ride a little too much.
Yeah, I don't think that's on him. That's really just the guys building the car.
Is that a cheating or an oversight? Can you really get that much an advantage with a spoiler, Mac?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that was cheating.
clearly
He wasn't the only one.
Yeah, Ryan Preece also DQ'd.
All right, where are we at this weekend?
Texas.
Texas. Mac, who are the favorites in Texas for you?
Yeah, hey, The usual suspects. We're going to go mile and a half, mile and a half, mile and a half. I think maybe three in a row, Jared.
It's Texas, Kansas, and then Charlotte.
Yep, mile and a half, mile and a half, mile and a half.
Give me a name.
Uh, I keep wanting to say Ryan Blaney, but my God, it just seems like he is not going to get a fair shot this year.
Well, Mac's due to win, right? So who's on Mac's team?
Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher,
All
and my least favorite, Ty Gibbs.
I'm taking Blaney and Elliott this weekend then.
All right.
Because Mac is due.
Please come through.
Mac, we talked last week about the Portsmouth Invitational, R.J. Felton going there and playing great, and got some kind of tryout with the Phoenix Suns that I saw, and I don't know.
Awesome.
Who knows if he gets that without that that little show he put on last week. So but that was cool to see.
That's all you got to do is get their attention, and then you get a chance. And the thing I'm surprised you haven't talked about is Belichick, but that maybe that's another show.
I was going to, in fact, I was going to say it was good to see you and your wife together last week, and not Mac showing up to see one of our interns because they just started dating. So that was. I basically imagine Coach Mac and Hayden hanging out.
We're not going to talk about this.
I don't know, man. That's some weird stuff.
Does she know he's actually a Hall of Famer and has done a lot of great things, but now he can't speak for himself?
Yeah, I've never seen Bill Belichick be the beta, and not the alpha. I don't know.
You know who is most worried about this is the AD.
Bubba.
Bubba. I don't think Bubba was for this hire to start with, and now he's got to defend all this stuff. And I'm sure that he is concerned about the level of input this young lady has.
Pretty fascinating, and is he okay? Like, is he all there? Does he need? I don't know. Does he have family that can look after him? He's got his son, right? His son is in Chapel Hill with him, right? So
yeah, like defensive coordinator or something. Yeah.
Hopefully somebody's looking after him, the old man. But Carolina football is going to be in the news one reason or another. They're going to Ireland next year, Mac. I saw that.
Saw that playing TCU or something.
Yeah.
Will he be the coach? Will he be the coach?
Great question. Did you ever go overseas with the team, play preseason or anything?
I did not. We did some great trips. Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico and St. Thomas and different places, but never went overseas with one. And I went overseas thanks to basketball quite a few times, but never with the team.
Yeah, and maybe part of that is a reward, but also they're playing against like grown men, right? They're playing against like
Sure.
all-star teams and stuff like that. So got to be pretty good for a team, I would think.
Yeah, you can get all kinds of competition. You can get high school level competition. You can get college level competition. You can get some of those older teams, national teams, and professional teams. But yeah, you can kind of select what you want to do. Go over there and build your confidence up, or go over there and expose your weaknesses. And it's a wonderful thing and a great thing for those young men. And think of how many of them haven't been over there. And that what an experience.
Mac, boy, this just popped in my brain. I've asked this before, maybe even to
Uh-oh.
you, but
Uh-oh.
what the hell was Marathon Oil? I remember going to see like North Carolina play Marathon Oil in like September or something. What was that?
Yeah, that there were a bunch of touring teams. There was, Athletes in Action had a
Yeah.
team.
Yep.
Marathon Oil had a team. There were a number of those independent teams that got certified by the NCAA as legitimate opponents, and then they started doing some of the international teams, bringing them over here and that kind of
Okay.
thing before that got to be a big recruiting advantage.
So is it like just I'm not going to say the Washington Generals, but basically a team that
Yeah.
they go play real college basketball teams in preseason games. Basically.
Yeah, and former college players, and we've had a lot of former players play for Marathon Oil or Athletes in Action or FCA teams and that kind of thing.
So that's preseason. One thing postseason, I used to enjoy was the barnstorming stuff. I know the ACC barnstorming tour came to. I think I saw them at North Pitt back in the day, and they had some Carolina State, Duke guys and stuff like that. But that was, does that still go on? I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, not much reason to do it anymore with NIL. That was the purpose, is to fundraise money for those guys and
Oh,
for them to get a little kick. And that it was all about raising money for those guys, and they would go to wherever, and the boosters from that town for that particular team would pony up and pay these guys. But no reason
gotcha.
to do that anymore.
Yep. Folks is getting paid. Mac, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. We'll have we got a lot of these off-season discussions coming up, so who knows what the heck we'll talk about. But I enjoyed it today.
I getting off the rails occasionally is just fine, and I look forward to doing some of that. And it was good to see everybody.
Have you watched? Was it Your Friends and Neighbors, Our Friends and Neighbors, whatever, on Apple
Friends and
yet?
neighbors. We are in process of watching that. I think we're up through 3 or 4 episodes. Yeah,
Yeah,
very good show.
pretty good. I like John Hamm, and looks like that could be a good story. So, all right, Mac, we'll talk to you next week, man.
Thanks, guys.